People don't fall in love with your beauty, darling. They fall in love with the way you make them feel alive or the way you make them feel seen. People do not truly fall in love with the outline of your face or the glitter of your resume. They fall in love with the way their own spirit straightens its spine when you enter the room. Something in your presence swells the air with permission. Permission to breathe deeper, laugh louder, remember brighter. Each time you speak their name, it is as though you untie a ribbon around their chest, and all the withheld songs and overdue sighs are suddenly free to roam the sky. Think of the small awakening that happens when a friend leans close and says, "Tell me more," and means it. In that instant, the walls lean back, the ceiling lifts, doubts unclench. You have not offered them gold or glory. You have simply widened the doorway to their own possibility. They love you for that widening. They love you because beside you, the voice of their inner critic softens to a murmur, and the voice of potential begins to speak in full, confident sentences. Most of us wander through our days in a fog of half-listening. We nod while our minds inventory groceries, street sounds, unfinished plans. The moment you still your fidgeting hands, silence the buzzing phone, and offer another human being the full sun of your attention, you practice quiet alchemy. Ordinary conversation turns to transfiguration. They see themselves mirrored in the clear pool of your focus and realize they are worth that rare resource, undivided time. Attention alone, however, is only the first stirring. The deeper magic is affirmation without embellishment. When you echo their own words back to them, "So you felt invisible after the meeting?" You are not adding decoration. You are polishing the mirror until they can locate themselves inside the story. Each accurate reflection is a seed of dignity. It says, "I witness your reality and your reality matters." That seed germinates into trust, and trust is the taproot of love. Children know this instinctively. Watch a child carry a crooked drawing to a grown-up, eyes wide with hope. What that child is really asking is, "Do you see the spark in me?" Adults ask the same question, only with clever disguises. A half-told dream, a brave new haircut, a joke in a meeting. When you answer with genuine delight, the colors in your drawing feel like sunrise, or your idea might change everything. You fan an ember they feared had gone cold. The warmth they feel, they quietly associate with you. None of this requires theatrical charisma. It requires the discipline of presence. Genuine presence is a kind of stillness, an anchored awareness that refuses to be swept downstream by the noise of multitasking. Sit with someone the way a magnificent oak sits with the wind, steady, patient, generous in shade. In that shelter, they lay down the heavy armor of pretense. They stretch limbs cramped by comparison. They discover that being themselves in front of you does not lead to exile, but to embrace. Language nurtures this safety. Simple sentences. "I believe you. That must have hurt. You showed such courage," are medicinal. They dress invisible wounds. Do not underestimate how many people walk through life bleeding from words never spoken on their behalf. Offer even one of those sentences sincerely, and you become the unexpected healer in their personal epic. Healing is intimate work. Gratitude for it often ripens into love. Yet presence and language are incomplete without humility. Reveal your own cracked places. Admit you too lose sleep, stumble, doubt. Vulnerability is reciprocal. It visits only where it has already been welcomed. Saying, "I struggle with that too," builds a bridge of shared humanity. Across that bridge walks a companionship sturdy enough to carry the full weight of honest emotion. They love you not for perfection, but for the relief of knowing they are not alone in imperfection. Practice then the small disciplines. Remember names and pronounce them with care. Circle back to a story told weeks earlier. celebrate modest victories, and mourn quiet losses. Each act is a bead. Thread enough beads and you craft a necklace whose glow can be felt even with eyes closed. People may not recall every sparkle, but their fingertips will remember the steady warmth of the strand, and they will search a crowded world for the hand that placed it around their neck. One day, years from the first hello, they may struggle to picture the precise sweep of your hair, yet they will remember the moment they first felt entirely possible. They will recall walking away from your conversation taller, lighter, ringing with an internal music they had nearly forgotten. They will chase that resonance through new cities, new jobs, new relationships, and each time they find it, they will think of you the way a traveler thinks of the lamp that first showed the road home. Remember, too, that joy is contagious. When you allow your own delight to surface, clapping at a street corner serenade, marveling at a blooming cactus, laughing until your ribs ache, you authorize others to unmute their joy. They fall in love with the version of themselves that laughs beside you, the self that notices miracles hidden in ordinary daylight. Joy shared is a covenant. It promises a return to color whenever life tilts toward gray. Finally, carry patience like a lantern. Transformation is slow work. Sometimes the seed you water today will not flower until seasons have circled. Keep showing up anyway, offering the same steady regard, the same quiet belief in their unfolding. When at last they blossom, they will trace the roots of their radiance back to the gardener whose gentle hands never left the soil. In that recognition, love grows wild and enduring, natural, unstoppable, like ivy climbing toward the sun. There is a rare kind of gaze that reaches beyond the surface, beyond the curated smile and rehearsed answers, beyond the masks worn to survive daily life. It is the gaze that sees someone as they are, unvarnished, unsorted, unfinished, and does not flinch. It does not pity. It does not measure. It simply says, I see you, and more importantly, you're still worthy. That kind of seeing is holy. And when someone experiences it when they are seen, not scanned, they don't just feel affection for you. They feel safe, and love always follows safety. People fall in love with the version of themselves that you invite into existence. When you look at them and do not turn away at their mess, when you don't mock their fear or over-polish their honesty into something easier to digest, you give them an extraordinary gift, dignity. You tell them, whether through words or silence, I can hold all of you, the brilliant and the broken, the proud and the ashamed, and I will not love you less for any of it. That alone can unearth a buried heart. Most of us live inside cages made of expectations. We are expected to be competent, charismatic, collected. We are rewarded for being neat and punished, subtly or loudly, for being raw. But underneath all that pressure is the primal need to be loved, not for the role we play, but for the soul we carry. When someone steps into your life and sees that soul without trying to edit or rescue it, you remember yourself. And in that remembering, you fall. It's not about being praised. Praise is conditional. Praise can fade. Being seen is different. It is the feeling of being named when you thought you were invisible. It is someone reaching into the clutter of your identity and choosing you, not for what you produce, but for who you are when all production stops. And when you do that for another person, when you give them the freedom to collapse, to contradict themselves, to change their mind, to laugh too loud or cry too fast, they fall in love with the place they can do that. They fall in love with you. To be seen without shame means to be loved even when you're not easy to love. It means that when your voice shakes from saying something you've hidden for too long, the person across from you doesn't recoil. They lean closer. Their eyes do not narrow in judgment, but soften in understanding. You realize, maybe for the first time, that your truths are not too heavy to hold. that your pain is not too much to share. And that moment lodges deep in the spirit. People are not waiting for perfection. They are waiting for permission to be flawed, to be frightened, to be free. When you give them that, when your gaze does not tighten at their confession or their silence, they begin to let go of the performance. They stop trying to impress and begin trying to connect. That connection is not polished. It is not always poetic, but it is real. And that realness becomes the memory they will carry long after they forget your favorite color or the jokes you told. Some people spend years hiding the tenderest parts of themselves because they learned somewhere along the way that softness was dangerous. They were laughed at when they cried. They were told they were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. So they began to shrink themselves. But then you come along, and when they test you, when they show you the first flicker of what's behind the curtain, and you respond with warmth instead of recoil, a part of them begins to trust again. You may not notice it. It may come in tiny shifts, the way they speak more slowly around you, less hurried, less guarded, the way they let their sentences trail off instead of rushing to explain, the way they sit in silence with you, and it doesn't feel awkward, only honest. Those are signs of love forming, not because of charm or romance, but because they feel safe being seen by you. It's not always easy to see someone clearly. It takes effort to look beyond behavior and into the story behind it. But when you do, you start to recognize that people are not their worst moment. They are not their loudest day. They are not their most polished version. They are the sum of what they've carried and what they've survived. When you recognize the resilience behind their reluctance, the hope behind their hesitation, they know you've really seen them, and that's when love begins to root. This is why people fall for you, not for the shape of your lips or the rhythm of your words, but for the way your gaze feels like home, the way your presence doesn't demand they be shinier, better, quieter, more agreeable, the way your acceptance does not come with conditions, but arrives quietly like a warm blanket on a cold night. You offer them refuge, and in return, they offer you trust. Trust is love, unspoken. Sometimes the person you see doesn't even see themselves yet, but your belief in them, your refusal to let them go unseen, becomes a mirror they begin to recognize. Your faith becomes a lifeline. It is not romantic in the cinematic sense. It's deeper than that. It is soul work. And few things are more magnetic than the feeling of being allowed to be human without punishment. So they fall in love, not with the idea of you, but with the reality of how they are when they are around you. They fall for the way you don't flinch when they stutter or stall, for the way you can name their truth even when they can't articulate it themselves, for the way you say, I see you, and mean all of it, the mess, the music, the mystery. And you may not realize the magnitude of what you've done. But to someone who has lived their life feeling like a ghost, feeling overlooked or misunderstood, to be truly seen is nothing short of resurrection. They walk away from you not just with admiration, but with new breath. And in that breath, a new kind of love, fierce, quiet, unforgettable, begins to rise. So remember this, child, you don't have to chase love like a dog chases a car. You don't have to paint yourself pretty or perform your pain. Be the feeling that stays after the laughter fades. Be the voice that sees without judgment. For in the end, they will fall not for the rhythm of your body, but for the music of your soul and the echo it leaves in theirs.